This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with a Kenmore Whirlpool dryer that will not heat up anymore. This is an electric dryer that uses 220 volts, and probably one of the thermal fuses has tripped, or it could be that the heating element has broken. So we're going to remove this lower panel. We're going to use a standard head screwdriver to pry out the two little clips, and then we can just hinge this panel out of the way, and we have access to a lot of the parts we need to check. I'm going to pull the filter out of here, and I'm going to remove the filter housing, this ducting. There's just a couple of 1/4-inch screws holding it on up in the corners, and then I'll pull it out at the top, get it out of the way. And there's a lot of lint. I'm just going to get that out of the way. I'm going to set my multi-tester for a continuity test that gives me a beep sound when there's continuity. And I'm going to check a couple of the things. The first one is on the blower housing. It's a little white fuse that I think might be blown. But it's doing okay. It's showing continuity. I'm checking now the thermostat, the outer terminals on the thermostat. They seem good. Continuity. I'm going to check the element itself right here with these two bigger wires, and it has continuity too. There's a lot of these little things to check. Sometimes when you do this check right here, you won't get any beep. That means that the element, the spring, is broken, but this one was fine. So there's two more. There's one a little further back, about 3 inches. I'm going to check that one. When I check that one, I get no continuity. That's a high limit. So it got real hot at one point, and to protect it so there wouldn't be a fire, it blew that fuse, and it's not really resettable. You have to replace it. There's one in the far back here, about 4 more inches back. I'm going to check that one too. And that one does have continuity. So there's really only one thing preventing power from getting to the heating element. It's this little thermal fuse that's right behind where the power comes into the element. I'm just going to test it a few more times. So the auditory continuity tester is pretty cool because you don't even have to look at the gauge. You can just listen if electrons can flow through it. And if not, it's breaking the power. And that was true of this one. It got so hot it just broke the power. So I'm going to pull the wires off of it, and then I'm going to use a 1/4-inch driver to take out 2 of the 1/4-inch screws that are holding it in place. This is the ducting that has accumulated a bunch of lint over the years, and I'm just using a standard head screwdriver to get loose all that dirt. Sometimes if there's a lot of dirt in there, it can make the heat build up. The heat can't escape as readily as it should, and the dryer will overheat. Sometimes the dryer vent tube is obstructed also, either inside the tube or at the outside part where it leaves the house. It's good to check all these things so that if you fix it, it won't have another problem. This is all the lint that was taken out from inside the dryer. It's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to use my 1/4-inch driver with a ratchet to remove these 2 little screws that hold in this high limit. And what I'll try first with the high limit is just to slam it down against a hard surface, like against the tile ground or against some concrete. And sometimes that'll reset it. Usually you just have to replace it with a new one. I happen to have one of those in my parts drawer, luckily, so it's easy to replace, but it's worth slamming it down because sometimes that will reset a thermal fuse. Here's what it looks like. It's pretty cool. It's just designed to blow if it gets too hot. So here's the new one. Wait, is this the new one? No, that's the old one. So no continuity, no digital reading, no beep. I'm going to slam it down, test it again. Nope, it didn't work. Slam it harder. Sometimes that works. Test it again. Nope. I'm going to put in some pliers and slam it down. Test it again. Nope. This has worked before, but I think it just depends on the high limit. Slamming it, no. And it's probably better to replace it with a brand new one when it trips. I think once they trip, they're a little more likely to trip again. So there's the new one. That does have good continuity. And all we have to do is just put it back in, put in the 1/4 inch screws, put the wires back on, and we got it. You do have to think though, like, why did this thing trip? Why did this get so hot that it tripped the high limit? It's almost always due to obstructed airflow. I think this ducting had so much junk in it that that's probably what the cause was, but I would also want to check again the vent tube itself that leaves the dryer, and then where the vent tube leaves the house is often constricted and the heat just can't get out of the machine and it overheats. So we got the ducting back on. We'll put the filter back in. Just get all the crud off the filter. Dryers are all about airflow. If you can get the airflow better, they do great. They use a lot less energy. They don't break down. It's great. So we're going to plug it in with the 220 outlet. Also, a good thing to check with this when you don't have any heat is make sure both breakers for your dryer are in the full on position. So we turn it on. We've got some nice action here. Nice heating of the element, the spring coils. So we are back in business. Put that whole panel back on, and then we get some good heat. Sometimes it's the element, but more often it's those thermal fuses or high limits that you just have to replace. So I hope this has helped you, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance.